Hello everyone and welcome back to StatOasis channel. My name is Ali Casey and today we are delving into the latest update from StrategyQuant X. The platform released version 137 this August and there are many enhancements that I'm sure will excite the trading community. Starting off is the spotlight on the final version of the Stockpicker engine. SQX team has ironed out all the known bugs in the Stockpicker engine and they are making it ready to trade live on the Algo Cloud, which is set to launch this December. Now let's talk about the new AlgoWizard editor. AlgoWizard has been rewritten from scratch to be compatible with the Algo Cloud platform. And I can tell you now, it is much snappier than before. And also the discrepancies between the other platforms and AlgoWizard are reduced a lot. You can see now we can have multiple strategies open and you can work on all of them at the same time. The custom blocks and random groups are over here. And I can tell you already it's very snappy. So for example, this is a simple strategy that trades the S&P 100 stocks. So it looks at if the open is greater than the 250-day moving average, RSI below 30, the price of the stock is more than $10 and the volume is more than 250,000 shares. Then it enters on another move down and then it exits after 20 bars or after the price above the 7-day exponential moving average. So remember, this is trading on 500 stocks, but using the position score, we will only trade 10 stocks at a time. So the maximum positions we have is 10, and we will use this criteria to rank our strategies. And this is the strategy performance results. It's making 2.5 million since 1990. These are the list of trades, and you can see the number of shares is using 10% per position. So whatever our account is, 10% of that goes to a single position because we have maximum of 10 position. And here we have the log of all the position when we enter, when we exit, the equity chart, and so on and so forth. Also, we notice that we have new graphics here. This is a much better for readability on the dark background. And there are some few changes. So for example, here you can see now we have a version 2 of stagnation. Let me explain this to you. And if we can zoom here. So you see before this red bracket, this is the old stagnation where it takes the highest high and it looks when we get into another high. Now the new stagnation, which is version 2, basically it looks that, for example, since this point in 2014, we were going up, but at one point we went below this point. So that means since 2014 until 2020, in fact, we did nothing, because we are back below that point. So that's the stagnation period. So only after this point where we broke a new high above this high and we didn't go back. So stagnation 2, I think it's a much better representation. Now also because of this new custom block engine for Algo Cloud, we can build our own ranking factors. So you see, this is the original strategy and now I'm using my ROC ranking, which is actually a copy of this and just written in a custom block. And you can see we have the same performance. But now if I change my position score, so I'm going to use now the RSI ranking and let's run the test. So now this is worse. So you can see the original strategy is making 788 with 25.6 drawdown and the RSI ranking is worse. But now if I use another method to rank, so this time I'm going to use the momentum ranking. And now you can see we are much better. So the original strategy is making 788 compound annual growth rate with 25.67 return to drawdown. And the new ranking, even though everything else is the same, I'm just changing the ranking method. And now I'm making 8.47 compound annual growth rate with 20.5% drawdown. So we saved 20% of our drawdown and we enhanced our compound annual growth rate by less than 1%. But remember, because this is since 1990, this less than 1% translates to about $700,000 in terms of absolute money earned. Also, I like these new colors because before these were all gray and you couldn't tell, and now the percent drawdown are in red and you can easily find that out. For the Mac users in the house, good news, now version 137 works on M1 and M2 without anything. Although they say you need to look up what's needed on the website to make it work on M2, but I just downloaded the version there and I just installed it and it's running flawlessly. The bad news is, although I have the latest M2 Max Pro loaded with 96 gigabyte of RAM, the performance unfortunately doesn't match my latest PC. So the number of strategies generated is almost half what I get on my PC. But still, if you have a Mac laptop and you want to take it on the road, without parallels, you have now a version for Mac that works flawlessly. Backtesting is crucial for any algo trader, and StrategyQuant X team made some fixes to the engines, and now it has much better compatibility with MultiChart, TradeStation, and MT4. So for simple strategies, I found that it is excellent actually. But for complicated strategies, unfortunately, you're still looking for correlation rather than the exact number of trades and the average trade and so on and so forth. But still, I can tell that 137 is much better than 135. Of course, 136 is out because we don't want to talk about that version. So here we have version 135 on the left and version 137 on the right. And I loaded RSI2 strategy. It's an extremely simple strategy. RSI2 below 25, we buy. When the RSI2 above 75, we sell. There are no profit target, no exit after number of bars. There are no conditions, nothing. It's a plain simple, so just we can compare. And we are running it on the same data, which is the export from TradeStation. This is the S&P 500 futures daily session. Also, same amount of data on both. You can see, and we are using the same money management, so 100,000, and we are using one contract fixed. And the results here, you can see we are making 160,000 with 31,675 drawdown. And if we check version 135, we are making 161. So the difference is very minimal. And the drawdown is 31,675, exactly the same. Number of trades, 338. So exactly the same. So now I'm going to copy the code from both and insert it into two charts in MultiCharts to see the difference. So in MultiCharts here, this is both the same charts. I just did the different representation. These are bars and these are candlesticks. So on the left, I exported the code from version 135. And on the right, I exported the code from version 137. And here we can see both perform exactly the same. So the code from 135 and 137 performs exactly the same. Now we are going to compare both in a little bit complex strategy. So it's the same RSI, but now the entry is a limit order with 0.25% below the close. Also, we will exit after 3 bars or an ATR profit target of 2 or a trailing stop of 2 ATRs also. And same thing here, you can see we are entering at limit, same conditions. So let's run a full backtest here and let's run a full backtest here. And now if we check both strategies, we can still see that the performance is very close. So 113,000 profits, here is 112, so it's almost about 1,000. The difference between number of trades is 1 and same drawdown. And again here I put version 135 here and version 137 here. And if we look at the results, it's again exactly the same. 105 percent profitable, 61, 428 trades. Of course, the equity curve is matching very much the equity curve in SQX. As you can see here, version 137. And this is MultiCharts version 135, and the equity curve is exactly the same. Now, the problem arises when you use the data mining feature of StrategyQuant X to build strategies and then take those to MultiCharts or MT4 or TradeStation. From my testing, there are still discrepancies between SQX and those platforms. But the equity curve is highly correlated. And that's what I teach my students all the time. Is you want to look for the correlation and forget about the exact number of trades or the exact amount of profits or drawdown. In my head, this game will never end because SQX will always try to follow up what TradeStation or MultiCharts or MT4 is doing in their engines and their updates. In fact, just today, TradeStation updated their engine. So when I updated TradeStation, whatever they did, SQX doesn't know, and now they have to figure it out and they have to match it and so on and so forth. But at least if the equity curve is correlated, then I don't mind. Of course, as always, data plays a big role in that discrepancy. So you always need to match the data that you are testing with the data that you will trade on. Of course, in my test, I am trading on TradeStation or MultiCharts using TradeStation data, and that's what I imported into SQX to test, so as to reduce the discrepancies as much as possible. And that will bring us to the data manager. They did a lot of enhancement to the data manager. It's more stable now. And of course, now you have the stock groups, and you can define your own groups in terms of ETFs or stocks or anything that you want to put inside a group. In data manager, now we have a special tab for stock groups. Basically here you can add any group that you like. And the advantage here is you will get rid of survivorship bias. So you can see in the number here, for example, the S&P 500, the number of stocks currently is 543, but the total number of stocks is 1294. That's because since 1980, there have been 1,294 stocks that were inside the S&P 500 at one point in time. So this group here will have the dates of the stocks that went in and went out. So when you test any strategy on the group, it will have the exact matching stocks at that date that you are testing. So for example, if we are testing any strategy on the S&P 500, let's say in 2004, the constituents of the S&P 500 in 2004 are different from today. And therefore, this engine now will trade on the stocks that are part of that list in 2004. So you will get a much better accurate results than today. So that is an extremely important feature. And also you can add your own group with your own date. So for example, let's say you want to add the highest momentum stock. So you build your filter and you get your stocks, and then you can say when that stock entered your group and when it exited your group. So this is of course huge. It will open a huge opportunity for new strategies on special group or special sectors inside the stock market. But that's not all. There have been several updates in the preceding months, like the addition of new snippets, new indicators, and the new stable algorithm for T-free MT5 expert advisor, which I know nothing about because I don't use MT platform. Now, StrategyQuant continues to evolve, addressing user-reported issues, enhancing its platform for more efficient algorithmic trading journey. As you can see, they are not stopping at version 1.3.7. In fact, they're already working on 1.3.8, resolving all the bugs all the time. This is like a never-ending task. And of course, that is an extremely good news for us traders, because that means that the team will always make sure that the platform works better. Of course, I will be keeping a close eye on the launch of the Algo Cloud, and you can expect a detailed review once that happens. To check out my full tutorial on how to build strategies using StrategyQuant X, click on this video and I will see you there.